Okay, there it goes. It says I'm live. Okay. Well, hello world. I've been a little camera shy about doing streaming because it's just been a while. I'm worried I'm gonna mess it up. But today I wanted to do something that I've been meaning to do for a while, which is pick up the Mage Slayer class homebrew project that maybe some of you joined previous streams for, and that was a lot of fun to get design notes from all of you. What happened was I did some editing work for a pro designer working in 5e, and I should make sure that I'm being heard, I guess, first of all. That's what I usually test. But they, as part of the editing thing, instead of just paying more money, I kind of did a swap of skills, and they decided, or they agreed to give me feedback on this homebrew class. So I got it all ready to go, and I shared it with him, and that's when I got this feedback. So let me just check the audio here, because I don't have like a headset or any audio savvy to do it otherwise. So let's see if I can hear myself. Sounds like it. Yeah? Sounds like it. Okay, cool. Great. That's good to know. So let's just get into this feedback, and I would really like anyone else's feedback in the chat. Just as a reminder, this class is meant to just be a mage slayer. I thought the wizard slayer, I think it was called, in Baldur's Gate 2 was a playable class. It was pretty cool, and it had a passive just magic resistance percentage, which is how it worked back then. So like dragons sometimes would have like, I don't know, 50% magic resistance, and your magic resistance was equal to your level. And so that's kind of what I'm going for. This is saying that my bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. So let me see if I can fix that. Okay. So I'm going on Wi-Fi right now. So hopefully it works out. Usually it's good for everything I need to do. And I think I've streamed with this Wi-Fi before, doing a 1D&D review or something last year. Okay, let's see. Well, I don't know what to do about that. So let's just keep going. Let me see if I can kind of make it clear which one is the feedback document and which one is mine. So the feedback document, how about I highlight it all in just like a rosy color. Hopefully that's not too hard on your eyes. But yeah, so let's just get into it. And I actually haven't read all these notes yet. These notes were given to me many months ago, but I just haven't gone through them yet because I thought it would be fun to do so on a stream eventually. And so here I am doing that stream. So in general, so there are a lot of things, I'm just going to read it out loud. Yeah, hey, Phil. There are a lot of things I really like about this class. The themes are exciting, and the unique and innovative mechanics generally do a great job of bringing the fantasy to life for players. It was very easy for me to be constructive, and at times a bit nitpicky with the materials because there's such a strong foundation to the designs that many only need a bit of polish. That allowed most of my notes to be specific and high concept, with very few things I recommended to be outright cut or reworked from the ground up. That's good to know. Before we get to the specifics, though, I have some overarching notes. The first one was, or not the first one, there was one note about changing the name. Some of you might remember I was calling this the Inquisitor before, and that didn't quite fit totally for me, personally. And this feedback was pointing out the historical connotations behind an Inquisitor, and I was like, you know what, that's enough for me to say, let's just not worry about that. And so I changed it, and I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be 2 syllables. So Spellbane is what I got. Next bit of feedback. It's feeling a bit light to me in terms of lore. Makes sense, because I haven't really hashed that out yet. What lore is present is fantastic. There are several features that would greatly benefit from short lore blurbs in their descriptions. I generally noted these in the specific features, and at most each subclass has only 3 sentences of lore. Nice. There are several areas in which the class borrows a bit too much from the fighter class, especially at early levels. I've noted these within the specific sections alongside my recommendations for moving away from that comparison. I'm generally not a fan of proficiency bonus scaling. I knew that going into this, that a lot of pro designers are not a fan, including this person. And I'm not saying who it is just because I didn't get permission to like share their feedback live on a stream. I don't know if that's kosher, so I'm not. Hopefully I don't slip. So yeah, generally not a fan of proficiency bonus scaling, especially before level 6, as it allows resources to too easily scale without further investment, especially when multiclassing. My personal recommendation is to replace all instances of proficiency bonus scaling with ability modifier scaling. Though this is a personal preference because I have quite a large dislike for how multiclassing is handled in 5e, and I completely understand if you choose to ignore this particular note. So I'm going to take that note. I'm not sure. I haven't touched this project in about a year, and I know that I was taking the decision pretty seriously of whether to do proficiency bonus scaling or not. So we'll see how well I can remember that state of mind, and maybe I will take that note or not. I'm not sure yet. As we move on to the specific mechanics and sections below, note that I don't have feedback on absolutely everything. Instead, I focus on highlighting the elements I really like, that I feel are exceptionally unique, or that may require some tweaking. If I don't mention something, then it's totally good by me. Okay, good to know. I'm highlighting it if I think that is I don't need to like revisit that later on. So, introduction. So I think this part is getting into the actual review now. So origin and purpose of the table. So let me go over to the actual class now. Go to the top. The home button doesn't work. Oh well. Okay, so I changed it all to Spellbane already. And let's see what we got. Origin and purpose table. All of the examples here are evocative and compelling, and there's a great breadth of varied examples, from intentional pursuit of the class to something of taking it by accident. Gives ton of room for people to tailor their backstories. Great work. Yes. Okay. So I like that. That's definitely what I was going for. I'm glad that that went over well. Proficiencies. For a class that isn't a skills expert, Bard, Ranger, and Rogue, this one probably has one or too many skill proficiency options. Barbarian, Monk, and Paladin each only have 6 options, and Fighter a bit more at 8, while the Inquisitor has 9. Talking options. So it's not that it gets that many proficiencies, but it has a bunch of options. And so reducing this number will help focus the flavor of the class and make it a smidge more approachable to new players. Makes sense? I would say that my target audience isn't necessarily new players, but I do want players to understand it when they're new to the class. And so here, why did I pick these different ones? Acrobatics, I guess, could probably go. I like having acrobatics and athletics as options for martial classes in case they need to get out of grapples. Arcana, like they've studied the targets of their, it's a mage slayer, right? What did I name it? Spellbane. And so Arcana implies they've studied magic so that they can spot it. But yeah, there's probably a bit too many here. As a religion makes sense for clerics. Perception is important for spotting magical traps. Okay, so what would I cut first? Let's see. History. I think the train of thought there was they know the historical implications of magic, and so to hate magic and to want to destroy it or to try to rein it in, they probably understand history. Was my train of thought with that one. Insight. That one can probably go. It occurs to me that if I want them to be pretty good at being a mage slayer, it probably needs to I probably actually have to have investigation here, because usually that is what is needed to investigate and overcome an illusion spell. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so investigation's in there now. Perception, I just always have a hard time not including perception on the list. But let me go look. Which skills does the fighter have to pick from? Let's see. I think D&D Beyond would have that readily available. So let's go check that out for fighter. And I had this formatted for Google Docs, so it's going to be a little bit weird here, but hopefully it still shows up fine. I can maybe zoom out a little bit, make it fit better. So proficiency options for fighters. Acrobatics is there, athletics is there, history, insight. I think I probably combined like the fighter and like some other class in how I chose these. Divination, perception, survival. So perception is on there, so it's not cheating too bad, I suppose. And you still only get 2 skills. And so acrobatics and athletics, I think, have to remain as options. Stealth can go, because you're not really like an assassin. You might want to sneak up on spellcasters, but it's not really their style. And history can go. So acrobatics, arcana, athletics, investigation, perception, religion. Also helps with like necromantic magic, as I understand it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so back to the notes. So barbarian, monk, and paladin each only have 6 options. Fighter a bit more at 8. And so, yeah, so I think being more in line with the fighter, but maybe a little bit less to differentiate from the fighter and let the fighter still have its thing is good. I'm okay with this list. Okay, so that's good feedback. Equipment. This equipment list adheres a bit too close to the fighters for my liking. The only deviation is that it grants a hand crossbow instead of a light crossbow in the 3rd bullet point. If possible, I'd recommend changing up this presentation a bit, maybe even including a few bespoke gear choices, like a book on spellcraft so they can study their enemy, to allow a player to feel distinct from fighter, even down to what equipment they start with, or at the very least, which choices they need to make at particular bullet points. It's these kind of subtle details that make a homebrew class go from great to phenomenal. I got to absorb that one a little bit. So starting equipment, how similar is it to the fighter? It might be the same. Chainmail, leather armor, longbow. Chainmail, leather armor, longbow, 20 arrows. Martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. Light crossbow, 20. Oh yeah, so he was saying that the difference was I just switched to hand crossbow. And that's probably because I understand that the crossbow expert feat needs the hand crossbow. And I think that's important for a martial option to have available. So Dungeoneer's pack and an Explorer's pack. Yeah. All right, so that's the similarity, and it literally is just I changed light crossbow to hand crossbow. So, if possible, add bespoke gear choices like a book on spellcraft. Let's just start fitting that in. Let's see. Do they all have to be choices, or can it just be a bullet point? All right, so I liked that idea. Book on spellcraft, or be whoa. If anyone's here in the chat, I haven't been looking at how many people are here very much, but those that are in the chat, do you have any ideas for what would be a cool item to make this stand out from the fighter in order to give, some kind of like study your enemy kind of vibe? Book on spellcraft. What does the ranger have? Because they have like the rangers have their favorite enemies. So what do they get? Do they get anything in their starting equipment with that? No, they don't. Okay. So Drunken Yoda, hello. A spyglass. I like that. Let's see. So in the adventuring equipment, I haven't navigated D&D Beyond in a long time. And I don't know if it'll let me see everything in here, unless it all is open now because of all the open game license switching to, gosh, I haven't had to think about this in a while, switching to Creative Commons. So adventuring gear, let's see if it lets me see it. It does not. Okay, so let me pull it up. Not on D&D Beyond. So like the spyglass idea, you know, scoping out your target, learning their magics, their weaknesses, learning where they keep their spell book and their spell components, their arcane focus, those sorts of things. So in adventuring gear in the player's handbook, spyglass is pretty expensive if I remember. Oh yeah, that's like 1,000 gold. So that probably won't do. But let me look what else is in here. It'd be interesting because like a spell book itself is expensive, 50 gold. But it would be interesting to carry like a spell book trophy from a spellcaster you've taken down, or something like that. What other options are there? There's, what about like monocles? There's a lock, ink, hourglass, hunting trap. Hunting trap's not really their thing in this case. I don't know. Maybe I'll just make something just homebrew, or just, you know, like which are there any classes that have kind of like a trinket? Oh, that's what I should go look at, is like the trinkets that are available in the player's handbook. I always forget what page that's on. What pages are the trinkets? Anyone say? Drunken Yoda, you're saying don't sweat that point about the spyglass? Or I guess I could even just say it's like a cheap spyglass. I don't know. Let's see. But where are those trinkets at in the player's handbook? Do you remember? Maybe I'll go to the table of contents here. This is in the player's handbook, right? The trinkets. Oh yeah, they're right there. Page 159. And Adobe Acrobat like changed up everything on me, because it's like all off to the side now. So it's before the feats. Okay. Before proficiencies, before customization. All right, trinkets. Let's see. A candle that can't be lit. Box of buttons, an old key, a glass eye, an alabaster mask. That's kind of cool. Let's see. A floor plan, a set of bone pipes, a crystal doorknob, dead scarab beetle, an old key, a vial of dragon blood, an ancient arrow of elven design, a needle that never bends, an ornate brooch of dwarven design. A metal urn containing the ashes of a hero. I kind of like that. I wonder if I could put it into the lore. Because they don't practice magic, but they do things that could be classified as magical. So where do they gain that? Maybe they have a metal urn of a hero, and that hero is a famous mage slayer, like their ashes and their protege, successor. I'll write that down and I'll come back to it later. I'll highlight it. or a metal urn containing the ashes of a hero. Okay, is there any other ways we can differentiate this from the fighter? Let's see. So they have the ranged options, they have the thrown options. I guess these aren't proficiencies. This is starting equipment. So I like that pretty well. They're not really dungeoneers though. Let's do their studies, a scholar's pack. What are the different packs? I always forget this. So, oh, there's a whole other page of trinkets. I forgot. Shard of obsidian, a rope necklace, which mummified elf fingers. Eerie things. Okay, so let's see. What were they looking at again? Oh, the different packs. Container capacity. Okay, burglar pack, diplomat pack, dungeoneer, entertainer, explorer, priest, scholar. I think scholar and explorer is good. Yeah, that's fine with me. Let's see. Scholar's pack. A hand crossbow. Maybe they should travel a little lighter. Maybe they don't have as many options for weapons. Though I guess you're really just getting... Maybe I'll just remove this. You know what? Let's take out the hand axes option. That doesn't really fit a mage slayer to me. They're more finessey. They can be strong, but then I think they probably go into melee. I don't know. Let's see how I feel about this. A martial weapon and a shield, or a hand crossbow and 20 bolts. Do you think this is necessary? Let's go back to the notes here. So here's a bit too close. The only deviation is light weapon for grappling casters. Yeah, and so yeah, right, Phil. I think that should be a good one. Is they're trying to take down people, so they should be able to grapple as an option. So if they want a martial weapon and a shield. Wait, hold on. Why did I... Hold on. Chainmail or leather armor, longbow, and 20 arrows. How about we just do this? Or leather armor, hand crossbow, and 20 bolts. And then they also get a martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. So they could dual wield, or they could get like a large weapon and like maybe something more finessey. I like that. And I like the comma. That's probably not how they usually format it, but I'm an Oxford comma kind of guy. All right, and I'll revisit this later. Okay, I feel good about that. Yeah. So, and thanks to everyone joining this stream after I haven't been around for a while. Let me know if you have any questions or anything that deviates from this, because I do like fielding questions and just talking with chat, so feel free. Base class features. I love the overall theming and narrative of the class features here, but I feel that this class would benefit from a restructuring of certain effects. Some come a bit too early, and others come too late. I'll be leaving a number of comments within individual features of how I would recommend moving things around. It's also possible that with it being a limited use feature, perhaps too many things depend on spell site for their functionality. I might recommend either reworking that feature to use a short rest recharge or make fewer high-level features dependent on it. Good point. Phil says we were just waiting for you to come around. Yeah. Yeah, I'm at a good point in my life where I can do D&D things again, and so happy to do that. I am running a game again, and it's the first time I realized I've done a lot of homebrew one-shots in recent years, but this is the first time in a long time, many years, that I'm running a game that is completely homebrew. Because when COVID was happening and everything, me and my friends, we just did a bunch of online modules, right? And that's why I did Curse of Strahd a lot. And that was really fun. That was a good experience to run some more like big book adventures. But I'm currently running the game. I don't know if anyone here joined my stream where we were talking about my world building concept, where the moon creates an anti-magic field with its light. So moonlight is anti-magic. So I've now hashed out that world enough that I'm running a game in it. We just finished our 6th session, playing every other week. And it's also the most that I put a lot of work into session 0 and figuring out which custom rules or which rules I want to revise. Actually limiting the players' lineage options for their characters based on the world building instead of just saying anything goes, which is what I usually used to do. And I'm really glad I did that. And not like this is OP, don't do it, it's broken. Not like that. It's all like story based. And I try to give my own twist on like all the races, the lineages that people can pick. For example, all elves are born with a twin. All elves have a twin. Goliaths are the like, instead of usually Goliaths have that like tribal tattoo look to them in their artwork. I decided to go more into their scarring because and that's a little bit inspired by like how different tribes in the real world sometimes use scarring. You know, kind of like Killmonger in Black Panther. He's got all those marks he leaves on himself for his kills. So anyway, I digress. The Goliaths in the world I've built, they have hereditary scars. So if I was a Goliath and I had a scar on my eye, and then I had a child, my child would have that same scar on their eye. So yeah, lots of little details like that I think have been helping like make the world more interesting for the players and more interesting for me as a DM to make it my own. And I do want to publish it as a setting eventually. I actually realized that I'd been thinking about it so long that sometimes a DM, you just need to jump in to running a game in your setting and not think about it too long, because that's when the ideas really flow, is when some players get involved. So I've been really happy with that. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'm glad you like that idea, Phil. I'm really happy with that too. All right, so the base class features in general. Let's see. I'll leave that highlighted because we can come back to it later to see if we have any other thoughts on that. Fighting style. I can't say that I'm a fan of this class getting this feature at level 1, since that's kind of fighter's signature turf. I think on previous streams, I think I went back and forth about whether to do it at level 2 or level 1. Every official base class other than fighter that gets this feature does so at level 2, and I think the same should be true here. To further clarify this class's core identity from the very first level, I recommend swapping the positions of this feature and nullify magic. Okay, so nullify magic is currently at level 2. I think I was trying to stop multi-classing from getting too much from this at level 1. But let's see. So let's move nullify magic to level 1. Because I was already going back and forth on that a lot. And then let's cross this out so I can remember that we removed it from this level. Fighting style and nullify magic removed from this part. Just in case I come back to this and I want to deviate from the notes or anything like that. Let's see. I should try to figure out some music for next time so I can give you all some just like low-key music while I'm doing this, but hopefully you can listen to your own music. All right, so back to here. So it sounds like he doesn't object to having a fighting style, so that's good. But maybe just at level 2 and put Nullify Magic at level 1. As a review, Nullify Magic is their ability to resist magic as just a D100 roll when they're hit with a magical effect. And so, and by the way, Grammarly and all that doesn't usually like the way that things are worded in 5e, but I try to keep things in passive voice in the way that 5e writes it so that it seems familiar and doesn't seem like my own voice or anything. All right, so moved fighting style, swapping positions. Yeah. Again, I went back and forth on the positioning of these level 1 and level 2 abilities, and so I think it's an easy sell for me to move them around. Okay, so spell site. I really love the idea of this feature, but I feel that its current implementation has 2 high concept minor issues. 1, it restricts player self-flavoring, okay? And 2, it implies that a DM needs to memorize or have a reference of all the color associations so they can present the information to the player without breaking the flow or immersion, right? To fix both of these issues, I recommend leaving off the table, and that's referring to this table where different levels of spells have different colors. Recommend leaving off the table and specifics. So the specifics are, okay. And instead present options for what sorts of things a player might see. This allows the player to flavor how their spell site presents, as well as doesn't create player expectation that the DM will need to increase their cognitive load. I do like not having to tax the DM too much with this class because I don't want them to groan if someone wants to play it. And it's already a little bit difficult to be like, this class goes after spellcasters. Because what is a spellcaster sometimes isn't very clearly defined. Okay, so instead of doing this table, he is saying remove table, give examples of what spell site may portray and let players and DMs flavor that themselves. Okay, let me look at, so how does that work with, like, a good reflavor class is the ranger, the Swarmkeeper Ranger, which probably isn't in here, right? Let's see, what would be in here? Maybe I'll just have to open a PDF, but let's see, so mind blanking right now. Oh, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, that's what I'm trying to open up. While I'm opening that, I see Phil has a comment. A magic could be a smell or sound as well, or a feeling. Could simply be, you can sense what school of magic it is. Yeah, okay, yeah. Leave it open to different senses. Yeah. Also, you can include a table of 1d6 ways you sense magic as a sensory cue for flavor. Oh, yeah. All right, so rework table to a d6 flavor suggestion. Yeah. Visualize sound, taste, smell, texture, temperature. Oh, temperature, that's a good one. I'm just going to copy paste that, Phil, for consideration. Thank you. Well, I'm glad you're here, Phil, because I respect your homebrew knowledge a lot, which I've told you before, and now I'm telling everyone that's on this stream. Phil does great stuff. Okay. So it restricts player self-flavoring, so I think we're taking care of that more or less. if we rework this. Implies the DM needs to memorize. Yeah, let's not have the DM memorize stuff. Okay, so this was all cool. I put a lot of work into that. And maybe I can keep that just for my own fun, because maybe that's a visual cue. I guess that's all. Strike through that. Okay. So we liked, I had a system up here of refab. So let's just do copy paste this, because I don't remember how I formatted it in Google Docs. And I'm glad I started doing this in Google Doc form so that I could share it easier, because these streams used to be all in InDesign, which is great, but when I have to make a lot of changes, I'd kind of like it just to be in basic text like this and then move it to InDesign later. I wanted to be like Taryn is what I wanted to be, because he's just so good with InDesign that he does all his designs just like live there. But anyway, I'm a wannabe. So, what are we going to say about this? Spell site coloration. Spell site table. All right. So is there anywhere spell site color where it references that? All right. So spell site table. Let's just say. All right. So we're going to have to revisit some of these where we're no longer going to limit it to an aura, right? So let me see every time an aura is referenced. It's just that one time. And color, just those. And let's just do all spell site references. That's my note there. Activate it as part of the same bonus action. Creature marked by spell site. Let's make it spell sense. It's not site anymore. Spell sense. Yeah. So let's change all instances of spell site to spell sense. Yeah. Okay, that feels good. Yeah? Okay. All right, so let's make it clear that I need to choose these. Revisiting here in a little bit. Spell sense, spell sensory, spell sensories. I don't know. Does it have to be? And does it have to say like ideas or something like that to be clear? How do they usually format those? So I was going to Tasha's here in a second. So Ranger plus my big monitor. So the Swarm Keeper gives a bunch of says appearance, like the appearance of your swarm, ideas for that. It doesn't say like ideas or anything. So spell, how would we thanks Phil. The spell, so spell sensory, we're going to call that spell sensory manifestations. Phil says, I use similar tables at the front of Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica to randomize, choose how your otherworldly patron communicates with you. How do you word it for those, Phil? Like spell sensory. I'm going to put this just to have something down. Let's see. Grabbing the language. Yeah, let me know what you put. I don't know if it'll fit the same, but I'm interested. So the Swarm Keeper has a D4 of ideas for the swarm, but then it has a whole little blurb, like one of those like scroll side notes in the book. And it's like, it's your swarm. So maybe I could do that. What would that look like? side note, it's your swarm. It's your spell sense. A Spellbane's spell sense is a reflection of the character's commitment to destroying or hindering magic. Take the opportunity. It copies so weird from PDFs sometimes. Take the opportunity to describe the spell sense and the Spellbane's. Let's just say that. And then it's going to be, for example, so give an example. Such descriptions don't change the effects. They are an exciting opportunity to explore your character's narrative through their class abilities. Your character's narrative through their class abilities, yeah. You decide. Okay, I'll come back to this a bit later as a side note bar. How are we doing, guys? Hey, Fallen Phoenix, doing really well. I got really good feedback over here on my homebrew class, which is now called the Spellbane, and I'm enjoying reviewing it. Phil says, roll a d6 or choose how your otherworldly patron communicates with you. Okay, I like that. So it'd be like up above here. So flavor text. Roll a d6 or choose how your spell sense manifests. For your character. Something like that. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit. Alright, so flavor study. Alright, so let me just write these. Yeah, so let's say we've got vision, sound, taste, which will really fit for one of the subclasses. Smell, texture, temperature. Yeah. Maybe I'll even make it more than D6. I come up with more ideas. Yeah. Okay, I like that. All right. All right, and then so that's for the table that comes before. That's this part. I'll figure that out later if I want to keep that. Okay, so that part is done. From a more syntax standpoint, I think we might tighten up this wording a bit, both to decrease the chance for misinterpretation and better comply with 5e syntax. Here's how I would rewrite the feature. Okay, so let's read how I have it written real quick. Oh, it's up here. Let me change this real quick, just so. Marked creatures. Marked creatures are perceived by you. What did it say before? How do I word this? Like, comma as determined by the spell sense table. Yeah, not the highest level spell. So we are losing the... well, we're not losing anything because we're making it so the DM doesn't have to like reveal everything about somebody. Instead of it being an aura that says, oh, it's a 9th level spell, factually, it's just you get an overwhelming smell as opposed to like a little dainty smell from someone more light. Hey, Josh, Dungeoneers Pack. Good to see you here. You don't need to, Phil says you don't need to dictate how they sense magic. Targets are just marked without specificity. Yeah. So, okay, so you perceive marked creatures as determined by the spell sense table. That works for me. Okay, but back to the actual note now. So we're gonna reword it here. But the way I wrote it, as a bonus action, you mark spellcasters within 30 feet. The mark lasts for 1 minute. You perceive marked creatures as determined by the spell sense table. You can activate spell sense a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, regaining expended uses when you finish a long rest. Okay. So they recommend, as a bonus action, you can momentarily see an aura emanating from any creature within 30 feet capable of casting at least one spell that denotes the highest level of spell they can cast. These auras present differently to each Inquisitor, which is not now called Spellbane, from a spectrum of colors to a varying intensity of light or darkness to distinct images, though you aren't limited to these options. Choose any number of creatures whose auras you saw. For 1 minute, the auras of the chosen creatures remain visible to you. Okay. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And then I avoided the word mark here because that implies that the creature and others besides you would know you marked it, which I don't think is the intention. This is definitely a higher word count than your version, and you can definitely delete the second sentence, but I feel that this version is a bit more clear. However, it would require replacing the word marked creature in a higher level feature with something along the lines of creatures whose aura you can see with your spell sight. So I absolutely understand if you choose to ignore this or find a compromise of the two versions. That makes total sense. Okay. I am curious. I think I chose mark just for simplicity of language in other features of marked by spell sight or whatever. It just seemed like cleaner words. Oh, Josh, I'll message you. I didn't want to put it in the stream because I didn't actually get their permission to like stream their feedback, and so I didn't want to just assume that was okay because I think some professional would maybe present if they knew it was going to be like a public bit of feedback that I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter at all, but I'll message you right now, Josh, and let you know since you asked. Hopefully I spell her name right. Oh yeah, that's it. There you go. So, yeah, so I was looking up Hunter's Mark. So let's go to spells. Here on D&D Beyond. and Hunter's Mark. Dun, 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 loading Hunter's Mark. Because, yeah, mystically mark it as your quarry. Oh, I wonder if mystically mark would be better. Okay. So, how do I feel about that? As a bonus action, let me just try that. You mystically mark spellcasters within 30 feet. Okay, so the feedback was you can momentarily see an aura. So it's kind of like a quick pulse to see the auras. Let me just copy it over and we'll see what we want to keep. Okay, so as a bonus action, you can momentarily see an aura emanating from any creature within 30 feet capable of casting at least one spell that denotes the highest level of spell they can cast. Cantrips are 0th level spells. These auras present differently to each Spellbane from a spectrum of colors. Let's see. I think as determined by the spell sense table. Okay, well, here's the question. So I wanted it to be about their vision, like you can see the aura, like even through walls with some of the features later on. Like it's a visual thing. Because if I need to think this through, because there is a feature later on where like if a creature, like if they teleport or something, you can still see them. What was it? Oh, you gain blind sight. What did I say? Piercing stare. You gain blind sight out to 1 mile, but you can only. Oh, but I made it blind sight. Okay, so that's fine. But you can only use it to perceive marked creatures. Okay. All right, so that's not as much work as I thought because I don't have to like rework that. That was the main thing I was worried about. Good for me remembering that from like a year ago. So let's see here. What are they doing? Oh yeah, so up here. All right, so as a bonus action, you can momentarily see. Let's see. I'm gonna not say see. Perceive. Let's see, because what's a more neutral thing? Like, does aura still work for things like smell or temperature and texture, that sort of thing? You can sense magic up to X feet away. The sense is not obstructed by cover or barriers. No, no, Phil. I like the ideas. I like it. Aura is an AoE effect in 5e. That's a good point. You emit an aura. Okay. We're gonna change the word aura. We're gonna change that. But you can sense. You're talking about the blind sense thing. I remember I was blind. I said blind sense, blind sight. I was actually really. I went back and forth on how to word this for a long time, and I don't know. Calling it blind sight, I think just makes it really cool. Like you can. What you said also makes sense. Like you can sense magic up to X feet away. The sense is not obstructed by cover or barriers. Let's see. So up to 1 mile. Let me just. I'm gonna type it out. See which one I like better. All right. You can perceive marked creatures up to 1 mile away this sense is not obstructed by cover or barriers. Phil, is there anywhere else in 5e that uses this, like, not obstructed by cover or barriers? It seems very clear to me, though. You can perceive marked creatures up to 1 mile away. Any way to simplify this? I like less words. It's only like 1 line at this point, so it's great. 2 sentences, 1 line. Let's see. Come back to review it. If anyone in the comments wants to voice their opinion between these two, let me know. Okay, so back up to spell sense. So you can momentarily perceive an aura. So what was it instead? It's not an aura. Is there any other effect in D&D where it's like you... Let's see. Oh, this I was basing this on the Paladin. Like, kind of like Divine Sense. So let's revisit that. Let's see how that is worded. All right. So Divine... You can open your awareness to detect such forces. I like that. Okay. So let's copy that over now. Compare. Let's give it a different color. Okay. So let's try this. So as a bonus action. Oh, hold on 1 second. Oh, okay. Good to know. My Saturday just freed up a little bit. As a bonus action, you can momentarily perceive... All right. As a bonus action, you can open your awareness to detect spellcasters, let's say, within 30 feet. Oh. Creatures within 30 feet capable of casting at least 1 spell that denotes... Okay, so this is the other thing is... Did I describe at the beginning for like as like a DM note? I wonder if I could clean this up and say, like... like DM note, a spellcaster refers to any creature. Should it also involve objects that can cast a spell? I wonder if I can front load that in some way. Is a Spellbane going to be good at detecting when an item is magical? Or there's like a magical trap, an ward, that sort of stuff? I hadn't really thought about that. What's weird, Fallen Phoenix, what's weird is Detect Magic does have spell effects show as faint auras, but I completely understand trying to avoid overlapping terminology. Yeah, I think that's what I did as I was kind of combining Detect Magic and Divine Sense into this feature. So let's go back to it. So Detect Magic is, I kind of like this idea of getting away from that it needs to be like a visual effect, because some of the best homebrew I've seen is very like flavorable, and there's lots of different ways to do it. And so I like that. I just had to double check that before I said something. Oh yeah, good call. All right, so let's keep entertaining this idea of... Let me move this cord. It's like falling off the table and dragging my mouse off. So I want to keep developing this idea that it does not need to be visual, like an aura. Let's keep it like neutral in that way. So as a bonus action, you can open your awareness to detect creatures within 30 feet capable of casting at least one spell. Creatures within 30 feet capable of casting at least one spell that denotes the highest level of spell they can cast. Okay. These. All right. So this awareness manifests differently to each Spellbane from a spectrum. Okay. As determined by the spell sense table. And real quick, I do like this like spectrum of colors. Let's, oh, it's down. Sorry. Vision, spectrum of colors. What was it? Like varying intensity of light or darkness. And then distinct images. Like that. That's a good clarification. Like there are auras. Like aura is used as a technical term, but it also is used as natural language, as Jeremy Crawford would say. So let's see. So let's simplify that. Choose any number of creatures of detected creatures or creatures you detected. Choose any number of creatures you detected. So that's consistent with awareness to detect creatures. Choose any number of creatures you detected. For 1 minute, the auras of the chosen creature remains visible to you. Okay. So here's the tricky part now. Like if it's an aura, like let's say the spellcaster becomes invisible, you can see the aura around them. So okay, so my piercing stare ability later that is based on like seeing them up to a mile away. So this one makes it so you actually have to be able to see them. Okay, so let's just say for 1 minute. Okay, so two things. One is being able to perceive that they are a spellcaster. And two is like they just can't benefit from being invisible. Is that what it's about? Is it that simple? No, because even if it's like a fog cloud, you should be able to see through the fog cloud. So let's like redo this for a second. So for 1 minute, the choose the number of creatures you detected. Okay, so hold on. As a bonus action, you open up your awareness. Mystically mark spellcasters within 30 feet. I think I'm going to keep it to that. Within 30 feet, capable of casting at least one spell that denotes the highest level spell. Okay. To mystically mark any number of spellcasters you detected. Open your awareness to detect spellcasters in 30 feet. Okay. I'm thinking very hard, guys. Within 30 feet. So I'm calling them a spellcaster. That's how I simplify things. This awareness. So I'm going to clean this up. This awareness manifests differently to each Spellbane as determined by the spell sense table. And the intensity of the sense is determined by the highest level spell they can cast. Okay. Okay. So as a bonus action, you can open your awareness to detect spellcasters within 30 feet. This awareness manifests differently to each Spellbane as determined by the spell sense table, and the intensity of the sense is determined by the let's see, how did they word it? And the intensity of the sense, yeah, denotes the highest level of spell they can cast. Cantrips are 0th level. Let's see. Does this need to be said, do you think? Cantrips are 0th level spells. Fallen Phoenix. Yeah, not everything needs to be done the same. The Paladin's sensibility doesn't function like the Detect Evil and Good spell, even though they are used for similar situations. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So... yeah, what do y'all think? Do you think we need, if anyone's still here, cantrips are 0th level spells? Do we need to say that? I'll mark that as optional. All right. This awareness manifests. So you open your awareness to detect spellcasters within 30 feet. It manifests differently, but it implies how powerful the spells are they know. Choose any number of spellcasters you detected. For 1 minute, the auras of the chosen creatures remain visible to you. Okay. For 1 minute... let's see. Choose a number of creatures you detected to mark. To mark for 1 minute. How about that? Now let's keep it in a separate sentence. You detected to mark. For 1 minute. No, let's make it for 1 minute. Marked creatures continue to be perceived by you. I'm trying to picture, like, let's say the spellcaster's in a crowd of people. Marked creatures continue to be perceived by you and cannot benefit from obscurement or invisibility to you? Question mark. Any number of spellcasters you detect to mark for 1 minute. Marked creatures continue to be perceived by you and cannot benefit from obscurement or invisibility to you. Is that the way to word that? To you? You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Let's see. We'll make it something else. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So they kept it as a long rest for now. Okay. In their notes earlier, what did they say about short rest? What was that? Okay, so perhaps too many things depend on spell site for their functionality. I might recommend either reworking that feature. I like the higher level features depending on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make it a short rest. Okay. Fallen Phoenix. Until they make it more of a common practice of saying it all the time, I'd opt to avoid saying 0 level spells, but I'm also a bit biased because I don't like the sound of 0 level spells. I don't either. And I don't know that it needs to be clarified, or if it gets clarified in usual 5e language. So I'll just take it out. If I ever see it again, maybe I'll put it in, because maybe it's like a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing to clarify for people. Okay, quick check my messages. Let's see here. Yes, I'm going to be in an improv show tonight. I'm in a late show that's more PG-13. Usually the shows I'm in are like family friendly, but we started doing later shows, our after hours shows that are more adult content, after our regular show once a month. So that's what I need to keep an eye on the time for here, so that I do not forget to go to that. But I got plenty of time. Just don't want to lose track of time. I know I am capable of that. All right, let's read Divine Sense again. Until the end of the next turn, you know their location. You know the type in the same radius. Okay, yeah, I think we got what we needed from that, from the open your awareness. I like that. Let's see. Wizard of the Coast was using the term more in the UAs, but till it's in print, I'm ignoring that fact. Yeah, I will do the same. And if I ever need to update this for a future version of D&D, I'll cross that bridge at that time. All right, let's read it all again. Wait, no, proficiency bonus. So I think the main reason I went with proficiency bonus is because this class is a lot like the fighter. But so the gunslinger that Heavy Arms made is a little bit mad, and my dad's actually playing a gunslinger now in my anti-magic moon campaign that I was mentioning earlier in the stream. And the gunslinger also wants wisdom, so they have more grit points. And there might be other things I'm forgetting, but grit is important to them. It's kind of like their key points. So I think this could function like the gunslinger. But would it be wisdom? It might be charisma. No, I think it's going to be intelligence. I want intelligence to matter more. So let's see. Did the stream freeze? Like in my tool, it looks like it did momentarily. It didn't. Okay. So equal to your, because at its core, like, yeah, you can go after any spellcaster, but I think this is going to be the arcane, the wizards, that this kind of class is really built to go after. And I don't think I want to put in a clause of, like, you can choose if it's intelligence or wisdom or charisma. That just sounds messy. Although if people want to homebrew it later, they can. I should choose one myself. Yes. And so, let's see. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, which will go well with that there are some intelligence-based skills to choose from. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like that. So that shall be. As a bonus action, you can open your awareness to detect spellcasters within 30 feet. This awareness manifests differently to each Spellbane as determined by the spell sense table, and the intensity of the sense denotes the highest level of spell they can cast. Okay, grammar here. This manifests, and the intensity of the sense denotes the highest level of spell a spellcaster can cast. Okay, yes. Choose any number of spellcasters you detected to mark for 1 minute. Marked creatures continue to be perceived by you and cannot... And what does that mean? Because perception is a thing. Perceived by you. Can you be perceived by you and cannot benefit from obscurement or invisibility? How about... Let's reword this. Your senses are not hindered by invisibility or obscurement or partial cover. Your sensors are not hindered by invisibility, obscurement, or partial cover Your sensors are not hindered by invisibility, obscurement, or partial cover when observing, perceiving marked creatures. Is that better? Choose any number of spellcasters you detected to mark for 1 minute. Your senses are not hindered by invisibility, obscurement, or partial cover when observing marked creatures. I'm going to say perceiving. So you can't see through walls yet. That's at a later level. But you can see through a fog cloud. It's not cover. This might affect some of the later on abilities. I'll have to pay attention to that, but I like it for now. So all right, so let's pull this up. I like it. As a bonus action, you can open your awareness to detect spellcasters within 30 feet. This awareness manifests differently to each Spellbane as determined by the spell sense table, and the intensity of the sense denotes the highest level of spell a spellcaster can cast. Choose any number of spellcasters you detected to and mark them. Choose any number of spellcasters you detected and mark them for 1 minute. Your senses are not hindered. Oh, mystically mark them. Is there a better word than mark? Where it's like it's inherent to the word that it's not perceptible to other people. It's just like you mark them. Choosing a number of spellcasters you detected and mystically sense them. Let's keep mark. You mystically mark them for 1 minute. Your senses are not hindered. Well, let's read Hunter's Mark one more time. Back. Mystically mark it as your quarry. And mystically mark them as your quarry, as a target. mark them as your quarry. Sure. For 1 minute. Your senses are not hindered by invisibility, obscurement, or partial cover when perceiving marked creatures. Partial cover or other sensory inhibitors when perceiving marked creatures. Is that too open-ended? Nah, because like that would include full cover or other minor sensory inhibitors. I don't know. Let's just keep it as is. Or partial cover when perceiving marked creatures. Yeah. Let's see. Who's messaging me? My other improv group, the MC got kidney stones, so they have to find a new MC tonight or rotate the MC. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence. Oh yeah, so your senses are not hindered by invisibility, obscurement, or partial cover when perceiving marked creatures. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a short rest. Okay. I want feedback on this part. I'm going to mark it for later. And then down here, I can figure this out later once I know that I'm going with this direction. Okay, let's go back to the notes. Let's see, I did make this a short rest, so let's call that resolved. And then avoid the word mark, but I'm keeping it. Okay. Indefatigable. I feel that this feature's timing needs to be slightly clarified. Both this feature and hit dice usage to recover health happen at the end of a short rest. So the question is, which comes first? Is this intended to restore hit dice you use to heal, to restore hit dice and then allow you to use them to heal if you'd like, or some entirely independent effect? Whatever the intent, I recommend making it explicit in the feature. Okay, so you recover hit dice equal to your proficiency bonus when you complete a short rest, and all expended hit dice when you complete a long rest. This is a Tasha's thing, isn't it? That I kind of lent from. So let's go to the Ranger and Tasha's again, which is which new feature? Oh, excuse me. I swear the Ranger got something that allows them to recover more on short rests, right? Like their hit dice? Or am I thinking of a homebrew? Spellcasting focus, primeval awareness, Druidic warrior, blind fighting, thrown weapon fighting, additional ranger spells, favored foe? No. Temporary hit points, tireless? No. Roving, swimming speed, so canny? No. Deft explorer? No. Anyone know? Was it the barbarian? Barbarian. Got primal knowledge and instinctive pounce. No. Who was it? Who did this? Was it the gunslinger? Let me pull up that PDF. Was it you, Heavy Arms? Did you have a feature that I was copying the wording about the short rest recovery of hit dice? Or did someone just recommend it to me? Like, if you're going to have hit dice as a mechanic, you got to have a way to recover it. Let's see. Writ. Not that. Let's see. Must be really interesting to have me not have the PDF up for you all to see and just listen to me. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. All right, you recover expended hit dice equal to proficiency bonus when you complete a short rest. Yeah, thanks, Fallen Phoenix. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Let's see. Recover hit dice. I mean, this is a good point. Is like, can you spend your hit dice to heal yourself, and then you just get a few of them back? Well, you recover expended hit dice equal to... This is proficiency bonus scaling, again. When you complete a short rest, you complete a short rest and all expended hit dice when you complete a... So this part makes sense. All expended hit dice, long rest. So you recover... Let's go back to the note. So both this feature and hit dice usage recover health as a short rest, right? Is it intended to restore hit dice you just used to heal? Let's see. So let's say, so this is supposed to help your mana burn, because mana burn uses your hit dice to burn spell slots and deal special effects to your enemies, the spellcasters. So you need to be able to regain hit dice even on a short rest. That I know. But if you don't use mana burn, and are you just regaining your hit dice that you're healing yourself right then? And can you dump your hit dice that you were going to use anyway? You recover expended hit dice equal to your proficiency bonus when you complete a short rest, and all expended hit dice when you complete a long rest. What about you recover expended hit dice equal to your proficiency bonus like equal to your efficiency bonus if you didn't spend any hit dice, if you didn't really roll any hit dice as part of the short rest? Let's see. So back to the feedback, and then allow you to use them to heal if you'd like. Whatever I recommend making it explicit in this feature. Okay. You can expend hit dice during the short rest and recover them at the end of the short rest. You can expend hit dice during the short rest and recover them at the end of the short rest with this feature. No, I'm not liking it. How does it need to be? You recover expended hit dice equal to proficiency bonus. When you recover hit dice during a short rest in this way, you cannot expend hit dice to heal yourself during that same rest. Like, is that necessary? Is there something? I need to curb this in some way. When you recover hit dice during a short rest in this way, you cannot expend hit dice to heal yourself. What if I just said, unless you used hit dice during the short rest? If you regain the mana to burn dice at the end of your short rest, you can't use them because the short rest has ended. I like where you're going with that, Phil. My worry is now they have to keep track of like hit dice they've used for mana burn versus hit dice they've used for like healing or other effects. And I don't want them to have to track that. If you regain mana burn dice at the end of your short rest, they can't use them because the short rest has ended. Right? So my worry is, like, let's say they're level 3, their proficiency bonus is 2. Let's say they were in a fight and they burned all 3 of their hit dice using mana burn. Or no, let's say that they used 1 of their hit dice on mana burn. So the short rest starts. And they say, hey, I have 2 hit dice left, and I'm going to regain 2, but I can only have 3. So during the short rest, I'm going to heal myself with 1 hit dice, and then recover 2. And then I'll be at full. Like, is there a problem with that, being able to perpetuate themselves that way with hit dice? I don't think so. You get your vision bonus when you complete a short rest, unless you expended hit dice during the short rest. And I'll expend hit dice. You cover hit dice. I'm just trying to think, is there any example in D&D 5e where a character can regain hit dice on a short rest, and that makes their longevity like way out of line, like too broken? Yeah, I imagine they will recover hit dice with every short rest. Maybe it shouldn't be proficiency bonus. Maybe it should be like half your level rounded down or something. So at level 3, you're still only getting 1 hit die back when you short rest. Then at level 4 and level 5, it becomes 2. But then it outscales the proficiency bonus, and you're able to heal yourself a lot later on. A third of your level? I don't like that either. Seems like they will recover hit dice with every short rest, even from 3 rests ago. Can you explain what you mean, Phil? I think you're catching on to something that I'm not seeing. How does that work? So let's say, I don't know, if each short rest you recover 2 dice and I spend 4 up front, I'll get them all back in 2 rests. Yes. Correct. Also, how are you considering that you only get half hit die on a long rest? Oh, so the other part of this feature is you get all expended hit dice back when you finish a long rest. So if you long rest, you're full on hit dice. It's just like, I don't want people to just like perpetually heal them. Do they have super regeneration? Because if you can heal yourself with hit dice on short rests, well, I guess if you do that enough, you might as well long rest. I don't know. So you recover expended hit dice equal to your efficiency bonus when you complete a short rest. What if I said during short rests, when you complete a short rest, you can choose to either spend hit dice to heal yourself as normal, or recover a number of expended hit dice equal to your efficiency bonus. Why hit dice? Great question, Phil. So what I was doing is, let's go down here. You can expend one of your hit dice to add the following effects. So I wanted it to be like you're adding force damage to your attacks when you expend hit dice to do mana burn. So you get to pick. So when they hit a creature with a weapon attack, You expend a hit dice. A hit die. And choose one of these effects. 1, deal a d10 of extra force damage. 2, the creature's unused spell slot of a level equal to... You burn a spell slot, essentially. You disable the creature from casting spells that don't use spell slots until the end of your next turn. So if it's like innate spell casting or at will, it like disables it. Or if the creature is not a spellcaster or all spell slots are expended, it can't take reactions until the start of its next turn. So you kind of like slow down a creature if it's not a spellcaster. So Mana Burn's not useless against non-spellcasters. So that's why I wanted to put hit dice into it, is because I liked, it's like you're giving up your like life energy in order to burn mana. Are you concerned with having enough hit die to fuel class features at the lower levels? Yes. I am concerned. Yes, I am concerned. How often do I mention hit dice in this? So you recover hit dice. You expend hit dice to do mana burn. Because I used to also make it like this would say 1d10, but I'd say the attack deals like damage of the die equal to the hit dice you expended. So like if you wanted the multi-class as a barbarian, you get some d12s and use it for mana burn. But I don't think it matters. Clarity. Yeah, this one. Maybe this design has outgrown the need to use hit dice. Though I liked the idea at higher levels being able to use more hit dice. And I think I even entertained the idea of saying, like maybe when you at second level, you even get more hit dice. Or something like that. So like let's say you're a third level Spellbane. You can use your spell sense a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier and short rest recharge. And then you could use mana burn up to 3 times per short rest, which could help you burn spells and deal more damage. The more I think about it, the more I don't like the hit dice. Darn it. Okay, so I remember now. So I thought about, again, the Gunslinger was part of my inspiration for this. The Gunslinger is kind of based off of a monk with key points, right? But with grit. But the Gunslinger's grit doesn't scale with your level like key points do. It's just 1 plus your wisdom modifier. Oh, which that does remind me. Okay, so let's, while I'm thinking about it, equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier. Equal to, 1 plus your intelligence modifier. Is that how it goes? Yeah. Oh, and you have to do a minimum. Minimum of 1. Yeah. Okay. All right, so back to this. Let's remove hit dice. All right, so how does mana burn need to work so that you can use it enough? So it was scaling. So let's say you get to 3rd level. How much do you want to be able to use mana burn? How much can a monk use Flurry of Blows? 3 times. That's right. So I liked the idea of it scaling with your level, but I didn't want to make like another table that says like, here's the table, like how the monk, you have like all your key points, like in the monk table as monks progress. I didn't want to have to do that as part of the table for the class. That just seemed messy to me. And I don't want them to have to keep straight like, oh, this thing is based on my intelligence modifier. Oh, this thing is based on my hit dice. Oh, this thing is based on my proficiency bonus. That just gets really messy. I wish that I need to make it so they only need one thing. I think. All right, so let me just remove this. I'm going to cross out indefatigable because I don't think I'm going to keep it. However, mana burn needs to have hit dice removed. To do what? What's the other thing they're going to be tracking? So they already have to track their spell sense and how often they can use that. I think I liked hit dice because it's something you already have to track. It's not something new to track. It's just a new it's just a resource. It's already scaling with your character. You don't have to be like, oh, what's my proficiency bonus for my mana burn? Oh, what's this for my, you know. A character already has on their character sheet hit dice. I'm talking myself into it again. Do I want to keep the hit dice? Clarify healing and short rest recovery. You want it to be easy, but the mechanic is complicated. I'm talking about like this mechanic or hit dice in general. Because I do want it to be easy. Or at least I want to take a concept and make it as easy as possible. You know? I value your input. Who has a thought? Is this mana burn seem too complicated? Or is it like the hit dice mechanic? Because even I'm talking myself into using hit dice, but I don't know. Spending, regaining, and potentially scaling hit dice use is complicated. Let me see here. I was kind of surprised that the feedback didn't say anything about hit dice. Does it say anything later on? Because I kind of thought I was going to get slammed like, oh, I don't know. Oh, wait. Let's actually look at mana burn. Maybe that'll help convince me. Okay. So let's table this one for a minute. Mana burn. There are so many wonderful things about this feature. The effects are innovative and flavorful. I love how you tie the force damage directly into the size of the hit die, and it's exciting and dynamic. However, I do have a few notes. I feel that this feature has one too many effects, sacrificing concentrated flavor for breadth. I would highly recommend removing the final bullet point since you already have a widely usable effect from the first bullet. Okay, that makes sense. So these are kind of the two on the chopping block, I think, for me. Do we want to stop spellcasters that use at-will spells? Or do we want to have this be useful against non-spellcasters so that it at least slows them down? Phil says, on its own, how often do you want sense and mana burn to trigger per short or long rest? That's a good question. Considering Wizards of the Coast is divesting from spell slots and monsters, how focused on spell slots do you want to remain? Oh, that's what it was. Thank you for reminding me, Phil. That's a big deal. That's why I had this in here. I can't take this out because otherwise you're gonna like not burn anything from monsters. But is this like too good then at that point? Because like a lot of monsters, if it's all at will spells, like you literally make it so they cannot cast spells. Uh. Yeah. Shucks. Okay. Way too good with Wizards of the Coast making monsters not use spell slots. Shucks. Okay. All right, let's table that for a second. Let's go back to the notes. The name is a little bit misleading. I love the reference, but it doesn't exactly cause a creature to take damage by holding magic quite so much as burn your own bodily reserves for a diverse variety of effects. This could perhaps be rectified with a little lore blurb. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Like the way that I designed it is you're using your own body life force to combust the magical energy in someone else. Like nullify the magic in them. Because it's like, how are you making... You can flavor it however that you're burning mana and like knocking out their spells. But how do you... If you're not magical, how are you doing it? And I figured like it has to be your own life force. So also like from a flavor standpoint, the hit dice might be important to me. Man, I'm talking myself into it again. I guess that makes sense why I talked myself into it in the first place. Let's see. How about I simplify these two into one? So the creature's highest unused spell slot of a level equal to or less than half your Spellbane level, rounded up, becomes expended. If this would burn a spell slot of 6th level or higher, the spellcaster can make a strength saving throw. DC your Spellbane level. On a success... Oh, I wonder if he's going to have a note on this. On a success, they expend their highest level spell slot. If the creature only has spells that don't use spell slots. They say don't, or they say do not. Don't use spell slots. Your attack deals 1d10 extra force damage. Alright, so you could just flat out say, I want to deal extra force damage to the person I am attacking. Lore blurb right here for one thing to explain it. That's a good point. When you hit a creature or an attacker, the attacker deals 1d10 extra force damage, or you burn a spell slot, but then find out they don't have spell slots, so you deal extra force damage instead. What do you think about that? The creature cannot cast... Yeah, so this is too good. I gotta remove it. If the creature is not a spellcaster or all its spell slots are expended, it can't take reactions until the start of its next turn. Yeah, I guess we don't need that. I was trying to make it so you're not... Because part of being a spell, like a mage slayer, is you don't want to be useless when there's no spellcasters around. Is like the train of thought there. So that's why it was there, but I don't think it's needed. Like you're still pretty relevant in combat, like as just a martial character, even if you don't have like an ability that you burn on. Because like even any kind of character, you might have some specialties. Like you're an enchanter. You don't use your enchantment magic on constructs. It's not like you have to give the enchantment wizard something to do against constructs. They just have other things they can do. Or like illusion magic doesn't work so well on a creature that has no eyes and uses blind sight, you know? And so, yeah. Okay. So, creature only has spells. Hey, quick question. So last night I was in a session where I made a ruling. They were fighting like this plant monster that uses blind sight, and the bard was going to use an illusion spell, and I said, hey, maybe don't do that because this creature doesn't have any eyes, and so their blind sense, or however they sense, is going to not even perceive the illusion, which made sense to me. But can blind sense see illusions? Blind sight, I mean. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. So, yeah, now it's no longer too good, so we took care of that. And if you can't burn a spell slot, you're going to at least, it'll default back to the D10 extra force damage. So, yeah. Should I just make it both? Like, you don't have to choose one of the effects, it just does both of these things? I think so. Let's just simplify it. Okay. You can expend one of your hit dice to add the following effects to your attack. Oh, I guess the way I had it worded, you didn't have to choose, right? It just did all these things. Yeah. Let's simplify it. Okay. The attack deals 1d10 extra force damage. Okay, so you don't have to choose. I don't have to put this in. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. So you can spend one of your hit dice to the following effects. 1d10 extra force damage, and then the spell burning attack effect. Do I need to include anything now for if they don't have any spells that you can disable? Like if they're all not using spell slots like the monsters have been designed now? Maybe the 1d10 becomes 2d10 when they have no spell slots, but they are a spellcaster. So then, if the monster has spell slots, you're burning their spell slots. Which the inconvenient truth is, I know that for a lot of monsters that won't matter based on how long combat lasts in the number of rounds. But so you want to act first and burn their highest level spell slot that you can, basically. It's not about burning all their spell slots. Okay. The attack deals 1d10 extra force damage. And Phil says, illusion effects are separate from perception. Minor illusion just works even if people don't see it, while hypnotic pattern must be seen. So I guess it's up to me as the DM to be like, why does this monster have blind sight? And if it's like what a giant plant, I know we're getting on a different topic now, but a giant plant walking around on its vines, if it's perceiving what's around it, how does it do that? Because it doesn't say tremor sense. I'll have to think about that. Okay, so I need to decide if I want to make this a little bit more complicated. So the attack deals 1d10 extra force damage. The extra damage increases to 2d10 if a spellcaster does not have spell slots. So that way, the D10 is always there. The burning spells is always there. But if it's a monster that's designed in the new way, it's giving the suggestion of like, well, let's just kill them faster, right? 2d10 instead of 1d10. That's basically a smite. So like usually it's a mini smite. It's a 1d10, but in some games where they use the other types of monsters more, it's gonna be more like 2d10. Okay, I think I'm okay with that. Still need a lore blurb. Okay, I'm good with that for now. So remove the final bullet. So we did that. Keep a track of what we did here. Small one, but it's typically best practice to organize bulleted lists from shortest to longest. Mostly, oh yeah, okay. Well, now that's done. Cool. That's a good point. It does look better that way. So now the short one is first, the longer one is last. The current second bullet's first sentence is a bit confusingly worded in that it becomes a bit word soupy. I would recommend rewording it to something like, if the creature has remaining spell slots of a level less than or equal to half your level, round it up, one of the highest level of those slots becomes expended with no effect. Okay, so let's bring that over and compare. Okay. If the creature has remaining spell slots the creature's highest unused spell slot of a level equal to or less than half your Spellbane level. If the creature has remaining spell slots of a level less than or equal to half your Spellbane level, rounded up, one of the highest level becomes expended with no effect. What is the proper way to grammar that? One of the highest levels of those, one of the highest level slots becomes expended with no effect. I like that. Okay, moving on. Got another message. Hold on. Okay. All right. I think this feature is coming in at too early of a level. Note that this has nothing to do with balance, but entirely with usability and other contexts. First, I don't like that this and Indefatigable come in together because I believe that setups and payoffs are always best when separated to create a more natural narrative progression of power. Second, since you only have 2 hit dice at this level, this is what we were talking about, which are also competing for healing at those most fragile levels, people won't be able to use this as freely as they want, even with Indefatigable. For these reasons, I recommend moving this feature to level 5 alongside extra attack, swapping its position with Jaunt. So Jaunt, is basically a low-range teleport. You can use a bonus action to teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. So it's basically Misty Step at 2nd level instead of Mana Burn. Okay. I'm down. I could be down with that. Move Mana Burn to level 5. And place Jaunt at level 2. I think I'm good with that. See any other context for that? What did you say about jaunt? Oh, I thought he was gonna say this. So when I designed this class, I want spellcasters to not be able to just like misty step out of everything you do. Let's read what he says. Jaunt, I must admit that I don't really understand from a narrative perspective why this class can do this. Everything up to this point, especially the lore, has been so explicitly anti-magic that the sudden appearance here of a strictly magical effect feels very out of place. This is something that I feel needs to be justified with a short lore blurb at the start of the feature if you intend to keep it in the class. Agreed. In addition, I think this feature would benefit from being swapped to level 2. If you do, you can give it an initial range of 15 feet, then increase it to 30 feet at level 5, and so on. Or perhaps even more flavorful for the allusions to full spellcaster progression that this class makes, have it scale at cantrip levels. Oh. Doubling its range to 30 at those levels. In either case, I recommend highlighting the new distances in the progression table. See how Fighter's progression table highlights the additional uses of Action Surge and Indomitable. Okay. Finally, whether you change Jaunt's level and or scaling or not, I highly recommend that you move the spell site effect from the base version of this feature. It makes the feature have 4 distinct effect paragraphs, which is a bit too much for such an otherwise simple feature, and would work really nicely as an improvement in a later level feature. I see. Okay, yes. So he's saying this little bit. So rework this to cantrip scaling. Move this to a higher level feature. Instead of it being part of this, because that's so many paragraphs for a low level. If we move it to second level. I think I'm cool with that. All right, so let's move Jaunt to second level and move Mana Burn to 5th level. Wait, what? What's going on? I'm confusing myself. So Jaunt is there. And then removing this and at least a bullet point. That's what's confusing with me. Okay. So Mana Burn. Let me look at the subclasses really quick. Do they rely on Mana Burn at low levels? A better whip. Double check. That one doesn't. Siphon. This one does. And does the other one. Alright, so just the siphon one does. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't tie this to Mana Burn. You gain a number of hit points equal, or gain temporary hit points equal to the spell slot level expanded by Mana Burn. I can just move this to a different level. And when random spell. Alright. So Mana Burn is now level 5. Jaunt is now level 2. Need one heck of a lore blurb to justify this. Okay. Agreed. Okay, so let's go over to the siphon. Spell siphon. Let's make that. Okay, I do have a placeholder here. That's actually really convenient. I was like, insert something here. Oops, not that one. This one. Okay. Driving hunger gets moved 3rd level. And now this is, oh shoot, what did I call it? Spell siphon. Okay. Melee attacks count as magical for the purpose. Wait, what? I didn't do that, right? I lost it. Hold on. Okay. This goes to level 6. Spell siphon becomes driving hunger. Driving hunger becomes spell siphon. And what gets moved? Just this part. Your speed. Or okay, so this will help cover for the fact that we don't have a second feature here. I guess we should probably read all the notes that we were given on the class before we go moving everything around. Okay. All right. Let's just see what else is going on. Level 9 Disrupture. I absolutely adore this feature. It comes in at a good level, builds off of core class features, and is exactly the type of effect I would expect from a Mage Slayer. I do have a few notes. In TTRPG syntax, we would try not to use the word may, always try to use can instead. Okay. Here's my, you can use, okay. Just this feature doesn't completely overshadow nullify magic, I'd recommend putting a limited number of uses on it. Alternatively, swap the levels of this feature and greater nullification. Oh, okay. So Disruptor is when you see a creature casting a spell or activating a magical effect, such as teleporting or becoming invisible, and the creature is marked by your spell sense, you can use your reaction to make a weapon attack against that creature if it is within normal range of your weapon. If the attack hits and you activate Mana Burn, the target makes a con save. DC is half the damage dealt by the attack. On a failure, the spell or magical effect fails and has no effect. True, I do like that. I am very proud of this feature. Let's see. So, the recommendation is, just so this feature doesn't completely overshadow nullify magic, I'd recommend putting a limited number of uses on it. Alternatively, swap the levels of this feature and greater nullification. Okay, so just limit the number of uses. That's easy. You can use this feature a number of times equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier minimum 1. It's a good limitation. Okay, so there's that. I don't feel that the second to last sentence needs so many conditional clauses. I honestly think just if the attack hits, the target makes a con save is perfectly fine. Okay, so what did I say? second to last sentence. So not this one, this sentence. Okay, yeah, because it's like if you don't deal damage, you don't need to say if it hits, right? Oh, he says, if the attack hits, the target makes a Constitution saving throw. Oh, yeah, so we don't have to put mana burn on it now because we gave it its own. Is that okay to put DC equals? Is that... Do we do that? What's an example of that? Where in D&D 5e is there an effect that says DC equals half of like damage dealt or something like that, where it's like the DC's different? Concentration checks. That's what it is. So that's probably not going to be available on D&D Beyond for free. So let me go to the spellcasting section of my PDF. All right, so concentration. Where is it? I think I missed it. Target's concentration. Okay. Taking damage. Whenever you take damage while you're concentrating, make a concentration throw equal to your DC equals 10 or half. Okay. Right. The DC equals half the damage dealt by the attack. Okay. On a failure, use this feature a number of times equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier. Okay. Down with that. And I am about to finish up the stream, so we'll just finish working on Disrupture here. I don't know whether this is your intent or not, but this feature heavily incentivizes a ranged build. Yes, it does. Up to this point, all of the features have roughly equally benefit both range and melee, especially with the subclasses generally skewing towards melee, because you generally have to heal less as a ranged combatant, so they have more hit dice available for mana burn and clarity. But this feature completely tips that balance in favor of ranged builds due to its range scaling with your weapons. If you intend for ranged builds to be more viable, I might recommend revising the quick build equipment and subclasses to match. If you want melee and range to keep roughly the same viability, it may require a few revisions to the way this feature works. Okay. This is something that's been on my radar, and I just got hit with inspiration of how to make it more online for melee builds. If the target is out of range of your weapon, you can activate Jaunt as part of this reaction to potentially get within range. If the target is out of range of your weapon, you can activate Jaunt as part of this reaction to eventually to get within range. If the attack hits, target makes yeah, I think that's pretty good. So there's a bit more, especially now that Jaunt is scaling better from lower levels, based on cantrip level progression. This should help melee. Yes. I do feel good that he's pointing out things that I was conscious of in the design. That makes me feel good that I'm not oblivious. Okay. So that is it for this stream. I do need to get ready to go to this show, but this is a lot of fun to stream again and get back into the design mindset. This is fun. Thank you to those of you that joined the stream. Gosh, I've been streaming 2 hours. Holy cow. Yeah, good times, Phil. So, yeah, I'll definitely pick up this again, maybe tomorrow morning, because I just got a text that my plan's freed up. So, yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate all the input as I try to grow from amateur to perhaps a professional homebrewer one day. So, thanks again. Have a good Friday night and a good weekend, and hopefully a good adventure. See you later.